What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the first yard. I hope you guys are having a great day today. So in today's video, I am back, and today we are going to be doing another MLB The Show 21 kind of overview of franchise mode and March to October. Now, before we get into today's video, all I ask of you guys is to please do hit that thumbs up button if you guys do like this type of content. It lets me know that you guys actually like this type of content, and also lets other people see this video, so that's really helpful. Also, comment down below anything that you guys have in terms of questions, whether it be MLB The Show or Madden, because I do both of those type of things. And also, if you guys have not subscribed yet, please do make sure to subscribe if you like this type of content. And also, if you just want to hang out a little bit, just hang around. We are pretty friendly over here. I recently just hit around, I want to say, 20 subscribers in about 14 days, which is just insane. So for those of you who are subscribed, you guys rock. And with that said, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about MLB The Show franchise mode in March to October. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so starting off the video today, we are going to be talking about franchise mode. Now, obviously, franchise mode in previous MLB The Shows hasn't really been the greatest. I mean, there's a lot of depth to it. There's also a lot of things that needs to be added, a lot of things that need to be fixed. And really going into MLB The Show 21, something that everybody should really know is that, if you're really going to get the game for franchise mode, you need to know one thing. And that's, what is going to be the main thing that's going to really lure you into this franchise mode? Well, we're going to be talking about that. So, first of all, for franchise mode, they have really kind of tried to readjust it, remake it. And what I mean by this is that they have actually added a couple of new metric systems. First of all, involving the trade metric system. So the trade metric system is going to be something that you can really use that will just improve the amount of logic that's going to be played throughout the league, involving, trades that are going to be made around the league and trades that are going to be made around you based on players' performance and also just how well your team can actually handle a new player based on a trade. Now, the next thing that we have here is the player metric system. So the player metric system is literally just a player's value, and they've actually added this, and it's brand new. So pretty much what this is going to be the player's value, and it's based on the performance and the attributes of a new player. So a really cool thing about this is really going to come into play with contracts. So let's just say you have Bellinger, right? And he has a pretty good contract. Well, if he's underperforming under that contract, he's going to want a little bit less money in his upcoming contract, or if he's overperforming his current contract, he's going to want more money because he's actually playing well. Obviously, this hasn't been in previous years of MLB The Show franchise mode, so this is a pretty cool feature. Now, the next really cool system that we have here is the budget system. So the budget system, as everybody knows, has been pretty confusing, pretty frustrating, I'm sure. And they've actually changed it this year. So instead of having a weekly budget system that really doesn't make sense, we actually have a brand new budget system that's going to be yearly. And the really cool thing about this is that the budget system this year is going to be really dependent on just exactly who you cut, who you trade for. And the cool thing about it is that there's going to be adaptive AI that's really going to adjust the amount of your yearly budget based on your moves that you actually make. So obviously, if you were to cut somebody, the AI is gonna automatically change your yearly budget to the amount that you actually have after cutting somebody, and the same thing goes with a trade. Now, the next thing that we have here is a really, really cool feature. It's something that's actually in Madden, and it has been in Madden for quite a while, and that's the depth chart. So for everybody that has played Madden, we all know that when you hop into Madden franchise mode, you can see the depth chart, and you can see pretty much everybody's position, and it actually looks like the actual formation in an actual football game. Well, going into MLB The Show here, what we have here is a brand new depth chart that's going to be it's going to look like a baseball field, and it's going to show, exactly where players are going to be, and it's going to be multiple levels of depth. So really looking at the new depth chart system, what we can expect here is, you're actually, instead of being able to see just the 1 year that you're currently on for your players, you're going to actually be able to see 5 years into the future and see who's going to be on your team still and who really is going to, who's going to be good on your team. It's actually going to have projected stats for your players, for 5 years into the future, and who's going to be actually starting. So that's really key. One, for just if you're playing a multi-year franchise mode, you're actually going to be able to, develop these guys and really get a feel for how your team is going to look in the next 5 years. And two, it's going to be great for contracts. Now, why contracts? Well, that's just because now you can actually see a little icon, a blue icon in this depth chart system that's going to show you who's going to be up for contract, who's progressing, who's regressing. So obviously this is a really cool feature. It is a small feature, but I think honestly everybody's going to be pretty happy about this. Now, obviously, these depth charts are going to be adjustable, so you can move, your starting pitcher to second string pitcher, stuff like that. And projections that you're going to see for your players are not 100% correct. So there is a bit of wiggle room there. It's just the game's pretty much projecting how your player is going to be. It doesn't mean he's actually going to do well. If he goes cold, obviously he's not going to actually play that well despite his projection. Now, the last thing that we have here for franchise mode purely is Stadium Creator. Now, obviously, the big thing going into MLB The Show 21 was Stadium Creator, and we all know that that was for only next gen. Well, the same thing goes for Stadium Creator going into franchise mode. Now, when you relocate a team, you're going to be able to actually use the Stadium Creator to pretty much relocate your team and actually have your own stadium. Now, the downside of this is that it is on only next gen as far as I know. But once again, just having the Stadium Creator in franchise mode is going to create a lot more depth for those of you who are going to be on next gen. And the cool thing about this Stadium Creator for franchise mode is that you're going to have a lot of options going into franchise mode. So pretty much, if you wanted to create a stadium, you can create a stadium. You can adjust any stadium you want, along with also having 30 maximum custom stadiums that you can choose from after you create them, obviously. And so obviously having all this stuff is really, really cool. I'm super excited for it. This is honestly probably one of the highlights of this new franchise mode. And yeah, so the next thing that we're really going to be talking about here is March to October. So March to October, for those of you who do not know, is a 1-year franchise mode pretty much. It's going to be like play the moments in Madden, where you pretty much just play the really good moments. If you have a hot streak with the player, you can use that player in a certain game and just, if he's going hot, you got to prove it, right? You're going to hit a ton of home runs to have him continue to go hot, and he'll eventually, progress in potential or overall. Is pretty cool. Well, this year, March to October has a lot of new things coming to it. First of all, the depth chart that we did talk about for franchise mode is going to also be in March to October, along with a ton of new rotational logic and I guess just prospect scenarios to choose from. So really with the prospect scenarios, what we're talking about here is that, when you have a prospect in previous years, if you're in the minor league, obviously you're not going to be able to really use him in this March to October. But now what we're actually going to be able to do is we're actually going to have scenarios, and for the first time, we're actually going to be able to use these players in key scenarios in the minor leagues. So obviously they have added a ton of this. There are going to be a ton of brand new opportunities with these minor league players who are going to be your prospects. And the cool part is that these prospects, after you do your 1-year March to October, you can actually move them up to your actual normal franchise, where you can also develop them, which is really, really cool. So another thing that they've added here are the call-ups. The call-ups, what they've done here is that they have added more call-up choices, and if you play well, you can actually boost a prospect's potential and overall for minor league or just for the major league. So obviously this is really, really cool. It also adds a lot more depth to franchise mode, because you can then move those players up to actual franchise mode. So with the offseason, postseason in March to October, what we're going to have is new logic in the postseason games. And then just team infinity has been increased in the postseason. So obviously this is something that people have been asking for. It has finally come. And I guess just one little thing before we end this video here, and this is probably the most important thing that you need to know about franchise mode and March to October, is that there is going to be a brand new way to actually use the contract. So pretty much, and this is for really affecting March to October only, where if you have, these players and you want to re-sign them on a contract, there's actually going to be morale now for these contracts. So as long as you keep your players happy, they're going to be more likely to sign with your team. If they're obviously not happy, they're not going to be able to sign with your team. So honestly, this is all the information that you need to know about the upcoming MLB The Show 21 March to October and franchise mode. So as always, if you guys did like the video, please do hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.